You talk about liberalism being the dominant strain of thought in Parliament and maybe in society in general. What is your issue with liberalism?
To go back to what I said before, I think the basic problem is philosophically it just privileges individual rights too much. I mean, we are liberal, but we're not liberals. I mean, a lot of SDP positions are quite nuanced. So we're very pro-European, culturally, very, but we're not very keen on the EU. We're liberal, but we're not liberals. And I think the problem with the project, the whole sort of emancipation, grand liberalisation project that we've had since the 60s, is that we've ended up with a society, and many fellow citizens agree with this, where me, I come first. So the economic liberalism, it's all about getting as much money as I can and getting ahead, as far ahead as other people as I can. And the social liberalism is about individual emancipation. What are my rights? You know, how am I going to prosecute those rights against the whole of the rest of society and demand, I want this, I want that? Now, all of those things up to a point, I think David Goodhart's right about this. I think in looking at liberalism in terms of overreach, have we got to a stage where there is simply too much me, and not enough us? And I think we're there. Honestly, I think we're there. And I think the appeal of communitarian parties now, not in the elites. You see, and there's a very big gap between what academics, you know, basically what the academy, business, the media think is basically full-on liberalism.
And as much of it as possible.
As much as possible, you know, with both barrels. And David Goodhart's a great thinker on this idea of double-dose liberalism. So society's had, you know, 30 years of socialism, liberalism, bang, bang, bang. So anyone that speaks up for the family is, you can't do that, we're not really comfortable with that. It's individualism all the time. And then at the same time, you've got the free market liberals of the right, who hammer basically public services have to be contracted out. So everything becomes marketized, literally everywhere. And at the same time that the state has lost confidence to actually just directly provide services and retain what should be its domain. I mean, an absolutely key, I'd say the cornerstone social and economic idea in the SDP is the social market economy, which is something that we introduced in British politics in the 80s. And it's still there. Absolutely, that is the cornerstone idea, and that's the idea that the state and the market are not opponents.
Do you think we've reached this point now, where you sort of alluded to it, where the pendulum is swinging back against liberalism?
Yeah, no, I think it is, and I think well, you can certainly see that. I mean, if you take immigration, you know, we're pro-immigration, but I don't think we're pro-mass immigration. I think, and again...
But what does that mean? A lot of people will not even make the distinction between the two.
Well, magnitude matters. So an academic called Paul Morland came out with a book about migration very recently. And he made a point that at the peak of the New Labour immigration expansion, more people came to settle in the UK than had ever arrived between 1066 and 1950. You know, it could be a million people. And that's very high immigration. Now, if you look at what the general public think, the general public, and even Leave voters, by the way, 85% of them are quite pro-immigration. They're happy with it as long as it's basically of the right scale. Now, again, in the southeast, we're sitting here in Islington. To have that much immigration and fail to do the other side of the tennis net, which is to build enough council houses, and yes, council houses, not to be sold off, the state actually doing something to help young people pair up and start thinking about raising a family. Again, the economic liberals, we don't do that, it's all left to the market. Well, actually, they're just misaligned with the public. The public want the state to help in housing, and and any millennial in the southeast is completely in favour of the state doing this. Otherwise, how are you going to get anywhere to live?